For this lesson, we're going to look at what each form information it gives us. So we have three forms. We have standard form, which is the x squared plus 6x plus 2. We see that lots. We have factored form that looks like this, where we factored it through. Then lastly, we have vertex form, which we saw the other day. Each of these pieces gives us a piece of information. So if we look at this equation right here, x squared plus 6x plus 2, the piece you want to look here is the 2, which is the y-intercept. Okay, and if you notice, the 2 in your equation is the very last number, your constant. So since the plus 2 is there, it matches up with the plus 2 here. So let's see what this one looks like. This one's x squared plus 3x plus 4. Let's see if that holds constant. So if we look here, the 4 is now the new y-intercept, just like the 2 was earlier with this one. The 2 on the first one was the constant, that's the y-intercept. On the second one, the blue one here, the 4 is the constant in the equation, and 4 is also where it crosses over the y. And as we go, we see it kind of continue here. Plus 8 is the constant, and look here, it crosses the y-intercept at plus 8. Passes the y-axis. And just as if it is negative, it's a negative 4 here, so the y-intercept is negative 4. Now this one here is kind of confusing. It doesn't have a y-intercept. So if it's not there, it's equal to 0. Therefore, the y-intercept, as it's seen here, is 0. Then also, you know, remember how yesterday we had a negative, if it was a negative a value, so if it was negative in front, it pointed down. Same thing here, negative in front, it goes down. And the plus 4 is the y-intercept. Just with this one, negative, it goes down, and the y-intercept is plus 2. So for standard form, you're looking at the constant at the end is our y-intercept. Okay. We're going to review, I'm going to write a little note for you after. So now we're in factored form. Factored form, you want to look at the x-intercepts. And if you look at these x-intercepts, it's 2 and negative 4. But when I come over here, it's negative 2, 4. So it doesn't really match because 2 is positive in the graph, but it's negative over here. The negative, it's a negative 4 in the graph here, but it's positive over here. But this is, once again, is the land of the opposite since it's in brackets. So when it comes out of the bracket, boom, it's the opposite. So a plus 4 in the bracket is now a negative 4. A plus 2 is a negative 2 is a plus 2. So these roots or zeros are your x-intercepts. So if we look here, it's a negative 1 here. So the opposite of that is 1, and boom, we have x-intercept of 1. We have a positive here, a positive 5 here. The opposite of positive 5 is negative 5. Now this one, we have a positive 7 and a positive 4. Think about where those are going to end up. We have a positive 7 and a positive 4. Land of the opposites means it's going to be a negative 7, negative 4. This one here, it has a negative 2 and a negative 10. Think about where they're going to end up along the x-intercepts. Negative 2, negative 10 is going to end up with a positive 2 and a positive 10. And lastly, once again, if there's a negative in front, it opens down. Where if it's a positive in front, it opens up. I'll get a better one for you. Positive opens up, negative opens down. And to just review what we did yesterday, the vertex form tells us our vertex. Remember, land of the opposites, 4 for the x, 2 for the y. So if we go over 4, up 2, there's our vertex. This one here, negative 4, our land of the opposites, plus 4. So minus 4, up 4 gives us our vertex there. Let's go make a note. So for this one here, we're going to just formalize what we did. So an example of standard form is going to be 2x squared plus 4x plus 3. The key feature there was the y-intercept, okay? And it's the c value, right, which is right here. So it is 3, which matches right there. And if we were to write this, it'd be ax squared plus bx plus c, and it's the c value we're looking at. An example of factored form would be x minus 2 and x plus 4. This here is the x-intercept. In this specific case, we're looking at these two numbers. But they're going to be opposites. It's going to be 2 and negative 4. Remember, brackets are the land of opposite. Okay. Lastly, we have vertex form. An example of that may be something like the 2 x plus 2 squared minus 3. And this gives us our vertex. If you remember, this here is our y vertex, but it's opposite, right? And this here is our y of our vertex. Oh, you go, Kennedy, for a second. That's my daughter brushing her teeth. We have negative 3, negative 2. And lastly, the very last thing opens up when the a value is a plus, right? So anything that looks like this. Well, let's use the very first one, 2x squared plus 4x plus 3. Or maybe 3 bracket x minus 2, x plus 4. Or 2 bracket x minus 2 bracket squared plus 3. Okay, those are all positive. Now it may be negative if a opens down when a is negative. So example, that would be negative 2x squared. Oops, I forgot the square up there. Plus 3x minus 2. Let's go plus 2. Or negative 3 bracket x plus 1 bracket x minus 3. Or negative 4 outside of x minus 1 squared plus 3. So those are all there. Now for your homework, I want you to identify what we have. So in this case, we have factored form. Factored form gives us our zeros. Another word for x-intercept is zeros. Okay, the zeros in this case would be negative 6 and positive 7. And it opens up because up here is positive. So in this next one, we have vertex form. What's that give us? Our vertex. And specifically our vertex is, let's switch it, 2 comma negative 9. Then I look here, that's a plus in front there because it's just a regular 1. So we'd open up. And the last one here, we're in standard form. Standard form gives us our y-intercept. In this case, it would be negative 8 because that's the number right there. And this one's going down because there's a negative in front. Okay, so you have the rest of these to finish off. I'll see you in the next lesson.